Hey everyone, I'm Scott, and I get to share again with you for day 32 of our journey through Grace Happens. If you've missed any of the previous videos, they're all on our Facebook page, so you can catch up there. Today's reading is chapter 32 of Grace Happens. It's titled, Grace Knows No Limits to Generosity. In that chapter, you'll read about how God has used people's incredible generosity to do big things. Be sure to take some time to read it today. But before we move forward, I want to share a story of where God has really shown up in my and my wife's life in huge ways, friends. I mean, huge ways. We were challenged years ago to give, to give monthly, but not just that. We were challenged by a friend of ours to give till it hurts. And so what that meant for Stacy and I is that we needed to give above and beyond just because of what God was doing in our heart. It's not about numbers, and I'll talk about that a little later. But for us, we needed to take this next step of faith because we weren't really living out our faith in giving back to God. We would give back by our service and time and ministry, but not our finances. And that's not until we decided to do that, God showed up in huge ways. Oh my goodness, if I could just share story after story. But it's now to the point that we give hilariously because we are now like, okay, we're going to give above and beyond, but watch, we can't wait to see what God does because he just shows up in mighty ways. Ways to where we got refunds because we overpaid on a bill. Ways to where someone just blessed us with doing something for our girls. Ways, and just, again, I could go on. You know, we've been talking about God's grace for 32 days now, and I hope it's been as valuable for you as it's been for me. But sometimes when we talk about grace, it's kind of hard to understand because grace is an idea. It's not physical. It's not something that we could see or touch. The thing about generosity is that it makes grace concrete. It lets us see God working in ways we can count, touch, and feel. And the memories we build when we're generous, those memories build our faith because we get to see God's grace in action. You may have a hard time wrapping your head around God's forgiveness or his love, but you'll never forget the time you bought a meal for a homeless person. Or the time you paid for a student to go to summer camp and they wrote you a letter to say thank you. Or the time you opened up your Thanksgiving table to someone who didn't have anywhere to go. Those things are tangible examples of God's grace at work in your life and through your life. Pastor Rick says it all the time. You can give without loving, but you can't love without giving. And God is the ultimate giver. That's why we hear story after story about God giving back to people who are generous. It's constant. It's like Anne Frank said, no one became poor by giving. The stories in today's chapter are about big generosity, the kind of generosity you may think will always be for someone else. You see, the truth is, most of us won't ever be able to buy someone a house or give someone a $100,000 gift or whatever. The point is the heart of the generosity, not the amount. But it's also important for us to let God stretch us to think bigger. So what would be big generosity look like for you? What would that look like for you? Now, keep in mind, it's not about a dollar amount. It's about the risk you take when you do something bigger than what you normally would do, like what Stacy and I did. So what kind of gift would be big for you right now? And what kind of gift would you like to be able to give someday? What's something generous you'd love to be able to do that you can start asking God to help you be able to do someday? Now, here's the challenge. Today's challenge is to write down your generosity BHAG. Now, BHAG stands for, it's BHAG, Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. So what's your generosity BHAG? Is it to buy someone a car someday? Maybe. Pay for someone to go overseas on a mission trip? Send a couple on a vacation they'd never be able to afford on their own. Give $1 million gift to your church. Buy a vacation home and make it available for free to people who God lays on your heart. Whatever your BHAG is, write it down. And then start asking God to give you the chance to achieve that goal someday. Even if you don't ever do that specific thing, and I think you will, you'll become a different kind of person because you'll start seeing yourself as the kind of person who practices big generosity. God's grace to us is unlimited. Why shouldn't our generosity be unlimited too? And I hope you get challenged by that, and I want to pray with you. God, thank you so much. First off, because of who you are in our lives. But God, secondly, because everything we have is from you. It's not even ours to begin with. You blessed us with that job. You blessed us with that home. You blessed us with the bread on our table. It's all from you. And so, God, I pray that I would continue to be stretched, that my friends would be continue to be stretched to give back to you with the heart of gratitude, with a heart of gratefulness, and with a heart of humility and love, and to do things that only you can do. And so, God, we love you, we serve you, we trust you. And we ask these things in your name. Amen. Amen. Thanks, friends, so much. Tune in for tomorrow's video as you'll be challenged even more. God bless.